everybody, welcome. I'm Emily the Fine Art Medium. If you're new, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back, Home Slices. I just wanted to throw that in there. But anyway, so today's video, I wanted to talk about an astral realm experience that I had on April 1st. And no, this is not an April Fool's joke or anything of the sorts. This is a learning type of lesson that I thought would be very valuable to share. So I'm going to read off my journal because it's kind of long and hard to remember every single detail. And then we're going to talk about it. So I was on the astral realm with my guides and a bunch of other people. It first starts off with me in this dilapidated alleyway in a city. There's wood planks and other wood debris with garbage on the ground. It looks like I'm sneaking around and hiding from someone or something. As I'm trying to make it back home, the thing sees me. It's a strange entity that can control people, and it is blue and can turn into any shape. It kind of reminds me like a cross between the Pokemon Muck and Ditto. Muck as in like what it looks like, and then Ditto as in like it can turn into anything. But anyway, so this thing is evil, downright, not even a question. Some random bystander, which then I realized wasn't technically a random bystander, but at the time I'm writing this, I don't remember him. But so this person tries to help me, but he gets attacked instead. I managed to make it home and slam the door behind me. The bystander had followed me and is banging on the door to let him in so he can get away from this entity. I quickly let him in and slam the door closed again and make sure it's locked. However, it's one of those rickety, like, not the heavy metal door. It's the door that you close before the main door. It's kind of like a screen door or a porch door, so it's really, like, flimsy. And then I closed the main door behind it, which that in of itself wasn't very strong either. So I was nervous that, it wasn't going to keep anything strong out. I'm talking to the bystander dude, but then I realize that I've seen him in 4 to 5 different astral realm experiences. So I know he's either a spirit comrade or a spirit guide. And we're trying to figure out what that thing is to hopefully defeat it. As we were talking about it, it manifests on the ceiling and starts pulling on the ceiling like, and turning into that thing that looks like muck. It's still that medium light baby blue color. In that moment, I received a massive download, and it, through telepathy, the entity showed me all of the people it's killed and all how it traumatically like killed them. Like it was messed up, yo. So my guides got a glass jar and caught it before it grew in size. They told me that the more you think about it, the more it will grow, so we immediately had to calm our minds down to keep it small. They then put the jar with the entity in a safe space and kept our minds off the entity. Once in a while we would think about it and accidentally give it power, but immediately caught ourselves. Eventually, it disappeared into nothing. From time to time, those thoughts would come back, but in order to keep it from manifesting and coming back, we had to continuously focus our minds away from it. So, what does this mean? Guys, thought forms. This is kind of what thought forms are and what they can do, right? So, a thought form is essentially a compilation of energy. Usually it's negative energy, and it can turn into an entity. Eventually that entity can develop its own consciousness. Now, like poltergeists, that's pretty much what a poltergeist is. That's how they are created. Usually they're created from negative human emotion, usually the worst parts of a person and their traits, right? It's usually what a poltergeist is. And this thing was evil AF, and this thing was created similarly, but it wasn't a typical poltergeist. This thing seemed to be around for a while and feeding continuously, so it got out of hand, right? And the thing with this one is it had the ability to influence people. I'm learning, and I honestly thought that demons had the only ability, or were the only entities that had the ability to possess people. And I'm starting to learn that's not necessarily true. I don't think it's true. And they're definitely not the only entities that can influence a person. I've seen earthbound spirits influence person. I've seen poltergeists and thought forms with their own consciousness influence people. This thing had the ability to influence people by getting in their head and convincing them or making them blow up at things, for example. So putting people against each other and to cause conflict because it can feed off of that, and it likes to feed off of that. This thing and things like this have the capability of causing nightmares and daytime hallucinations, like especially the really stronger, like the strong ones. So it's always important to be careful. But the reason I wanted to talk to you guys about this is because thought forms are the most common entities that I come across. Not demons, right? Not demons. This, right? Between this and earthbound spirits. And anyone who tells you that thought forms are not created through the emotions of other people, they wrong. I'm sorry. And yeah. It's also important to note if someone has a poltergeist or a thought form entity haunting them or harassing them, even though it is created from a collection of thoughts or negative emotions, it's not the person's fault, because it could be from residual energy. It could be residual energy from decades of, negative energy compiling into one space. Or it could be generations of families. Like if you live in the same house and you have multiple generations there and you don't cleanse that space, that will add up eventually. So it's important to note that. But yeah, it's not anybody's fault when they have this happen at all. So I just, and these ones are usually semi-easy to get rid of. And I always say that people who are trying to get rid of any type of haunting, right, they have to put in the work. And a lot of times these things latch on to traumas, and that's how they stay, because they're feeding off that negative energy. So it's important to work on those traumas to make sure that it has nothing to latch on. Even demons and earthbound, like negative earthbound spirits, can latch on to traumas and become an attachment. And like I said, it's not the person's fault for having the trauma, right? It's just a sucky situation of happenstance. They find your weakness and boom. Like there's no one to blame, right? It's the entity's fault for taking advantage, but anyone with a haunting or thought forms or poltergeist activity, just know that it is possible to get rid of them. It's not your fault. And yeah, I think it's safe to say that my guide showed me this on purpose so I could relay the lesson that I learned, which I already kind of knew, but I didn't understand. Like, I wanted to see it. I wanted to see how it worked. Like, I knew how it worked, but I wanted to see it. And I saw it. But yeah, anyway. Hopefully this video helps. Thank you guys for watching. Peace out.
Are you someone who enjoys listening to real spooky stories, learning about spirituality and what goes bump in the night? If so, the Lights of Midnight podcast takes you on a journey alongside two psychic medium who dive deep into all things paranormal and spiritual. Chastity, aka Luna Beams, and I share personal weekly paranormal stories in addition to guide listeners through the awakening process and spirits that they may encounter along the way. With a multitude of guests, we take the opportunity to listen and learn from other perspectives. Lights at Midnight podcast is available on most platforms and are just a click away. We hope to see you soon. Most importantly, don't forget, stay safe, stay well, and light it up!